Good morning, everybody. Today's the 9th. It is Wednesday. Beautiful day here today. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the show, the live stream, YouTube, Patreon, all over the world, really. Post your comments in the YouTube chat section or in Patreon and Discord. The Top Guns chat channel will catch all of them before the end of the show. Got an interesting one here for you folks, so before we begin, just a little bit of a check-up on the sound and the picture. If you can hear me fine, see the picture fine, I'm looking at the SPY 5 minutes chart. A little bit of a feedback, and we're going to begin right away. Okay, thank you everybody for the feedback. Let's begin here with the SPY, looking for a reversal today. Maybe it's happening right now, right? We're going to test that 622, going to retest that number, see how it's going to hold. If it does, then we're probably going to aim to close this gap right here, and we'll probably want to go with the 625 calls. Friday will be good enough. If we lose 622, then we have to retest 620. If we do that, we lose 620, then we're probably heading back to 616. So we have a few interesting developments here to look forward to, but there's another headline that's going on today, which is the NVIDIA $4 trillion, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I think when you hear these kind of headlines, it reminds a lot of investors to say, okay, are we going crazy here? And that's going to prompt some profit taking, as you can see, influenced by a little bit of NVIDIA here. But you also know that the market maker dictates a lot of these moves day to day, so we have to look always on the 0 DTE data. So this is what we're going to do here. And again, thank everybody for joining us, especially the newcomers. But we begin here with, let's do SPY. Since we looked at the SPY, let's do the SPY. And we'll do today's expiration is the 9th. Right off the gate, you want to look at the OI change. That's going to give you the risk for the market maker. Is it going to be calls or puts? You want to scan these numbers quickly here. You see 7,000, 6,000, 6,000. Okay. Does anything compare here with the puts? Yeah, maybe. There is the 620 contract is quite a big number of contracts added overnight. So there is competition by the puts. It's not an easy distinguish today to say the calls have upper hand over the puts. Now, second thing you want to look at is the volume. And the volume is going to dictate the move that the market maker is going to try to accommodate initially. And we see huge volume showed up at the 625 today, 174,000. Puts nowhere to be found. We got the 624, close enough to compete, but still about 2-to-1 ratio. So the market maker probably went all the way to 625. When I say the market maker went to 625, meaning that they bought shares of the SPY. before the market opened for the most part, of course, because they look at this data before you and I have access to it. And they push it higher to make sure that they bought all of these shares and they have no risk. The volume tapers off after 625, so they're already hedged against the 625. Now, they hedged against the puts, though, depending on the volume. If the volume begins to show up, I think that the risk today for the market maker would be this contract right here, the 620, just like yesterday's session. Because if there is volume showing up here at 622, 621, then the market maker will put two and two together and say, okay, this is going to be the open interest right here at the end of the day, going to be my obligation. I better sell some shares because I bought them at 622. Maybe I should sell them at 623, right? And make some profit to hedge against the puts. So my 2 cents looking at this data right here, I think that the market maker is going to now wait. I think they've accommodated the calls, the initial calls in the morning. Now they're going to wait and see, retest that 22 number, see if it's going to hold or not. And then they're going to watch for the volume. If the volume increases in the put side closer to that 620 number, I think that the market maker is going to pull us back all the way down to 620. And that's going to mark a reversal. So we already had a reversal here, right? So this is the reversal we got Monday's session. And it kind of began from last week. If we reverse here by closing below 620 today, that's it. That's it. That's going to be the market correction. The longer weighted, let's call it about 3-5% perhaps. We could get it at that point because you have a correction from a lower high kind of point. But one step at a time. We don't want to jump the gun here. We're just going to watch and see. Really interesting tape so far. You want to look at the big caps, of course, because that's what's going to influence the move in the SPY. Sometimes you look at the 0 DTs for the SPY and they show you that the tape should be going one way versus the other, but then you see a large move in one of the big caps, and that leads a scramble here where the market maker has to squeeze up or down because of that individual name. So let's begin with Apple. Any risk here for Apple? Let's zoom out, hourly chart. I don't know. It looks to me that maybe this bear flag is kind of playing out. I mean, it tried over and over and over to crack above 210. Didn't happen. Naturally, it seems to me that maybe Apple needs to revisit 207.5, see how that's going to hold. And if it doesn't, then the pop in Apple is over, and a lot of people who bought right here are going to begin to sell right away and scramble. So Apple, not seeing any risk here, to be honest with you, to the upside or the downside on the indices. Now, if you look at NVIDIA, that's a different story. NVIDIA, big pop today, and NVIDIA is probably going to dictate what happens to the SPY more than Apple. Here's why. Right off the gate, of course, we look at the OI change. Huge numbers showed up in the 160 yesterday, so a lot of the folks who bought the 160 kept it overnight. This is the expiration date of the 11th, by the way. And they also have a big number of contracts added in the 162.5. And notice these numbers right here, 132,000, almost 133,000 in open interest in one individual name. That's in notional value, folks. This is billions and billions and billions of dollars. And if the market maker doesn't see counter feedback here, they have to keep pushing NVIDIA every day to accommodate the risk that they get. And the majority of the rally in NVIDIA, at least lately, happened on the basis of 0 DTEs like this. So market maker wakes up in the morning, sees this massive volume showing up in the 165. They see that they have open interest added to contracts that are already closer to the money or in the money. They see that they have big open interest obligation at the close of course, the 11th. This is not relevant right now, by the way. The open interest is not relevant right now because we still got 2 days. It is relevant in the SPY, not in when you have time to the expiration. What's relevant in today's session is these guys, the add feedback, and the volume. 186,000 I have it as right now. Nothing competes really in the puts. So unless the puts want to begin to buy and add some volume that counters this kind of mania, market maker has to keep grinding it higher, even though it doesn't make sense at all. So now we want to see if we're going to get some volume if we knock this contract down, because by the end of the week, the market maker wants to close below 160 for sure, because this is a big contract to have an obligation in. So I'm looking for a reversal below 160 by the end of the week. Now, at what point could we reverse? When the volume tapers off, and right now it looks to me that 165 has a huge number of volume, but 167.5, nothing, 170 doesn't compare at all. So It might be the point where we stop here in NVIDIA and begin to head back below 160 again. And if that happens, by the way, that's going to be a sign that NVIDIA topped. It's ready for that 3 to 5% correction, which will lead the SPY to have the same. Another important name is, of course, Microsoft got an upgrade today like the analysts didn't know. I mean, the stock been rallying 25% already. Now we're going to upgrade the stock, so we see the algorithms here reacting initially by buying it. This is not an options market thing, really. This is more of an analyst trying to play with the algos. You don't see massive numbers. Microsoft is not really traded like that. The volume is already accommodated in Microsoft. Now probably they're going to accommodate that 500 contract in the puts. So I would not be surprised to see Microsoft down to 500 in a few minutes. But again, see, this is not a phenomenon that's an options market thing. It's really NVIDIA. NVIDIA is absolutely insane. When you see the volume of NVIDIA exceeding the volume of the indices, that's insanity. Anyhow, now you know, folks. So we got Apple, not a lot of thread here, probably going to head down to 207.5. NVIDIA, we need to wait and see here. I think that 165 might have been the top. And if we begin to head down, then you know that the market maker is probably going to close below 160 by the end of the week to make sure that they have maximum pain. Microsoft, I'm aiming for 500 today and below. If we close below 500, then we're back on track. And it's just a pop because of analyst upgrade. What about Tesla, though? Tesla hourly chart, what do we do here? I think you stick to the puts if you got them, 295, 285. You can add the 290, 280 if you'd like. I would try to go beyond July 18th, though, because that's next week. So let's go at least 1 week after for the 25. Of course, you could wait till we get confirmation of losing the support that we got right here. But I think that if we look at Tesla's options, unless there is support in the calls, I don't think that we're going to see Tesla heading higher. So they closed the calls in the money. The open interest is weak. I mean, Tesla used to compete with NVIDIA in these kind of numbers, but not showing up right now. And you have 36,000 in the 300 calls. But the puts here, see, the puts are opening more. And they have higher open interest that is closer to the money with 18,000 at 290. So I think that 290 might be revisited really, really soon. So here in Tesla, unlike NVIDIA, you see competition by the puts. And actually, the puts here dominated with a tiny bit of degree. And I think they're aiming for that 290. That's a big possibility for Tesla before the end of the week. So keep an eye on Tesla here that we could go down to 290 today. How about the VIX? Anything going on in the VIX? I mean, it's showing a little bit of signs here that it's rebounding. But honestly, the VIX is way so suppressed right now. I would suggest that if you have a portfolio, a long portfolio, when you see a VIX at 16, that means that hedging your portfolio is a steal right now. Specifically when the VIX should be way above 20, given all the circumstances that we got. So don't let this opportunity pass you. You want to use the opportunity today to begin to hedge your portfolio. Look at your longs. What are you concentrated in? Technology, telecoms, defensive. What are you concentrated in? If you have risk on specifically the big caps and the indices and technology, that's your majority of the exposure. You got to begin hedging today because you're going to have really cheap options that you can buy. And that's going to protect you pretty good. Looking at the SPY, let's see if that, again, 622, let's mark that number here. See if that guy's going to hold. And if it doesn't, then we probably have a revisit the 620. You lose 620, it's over. But before we see that, let's look at the themes. See if we have a theme today. I see, okay, decliners, Hershey's, a little bit of Chinese technology down, copper pulling back a touch today after massive gains yesterday. Nuclear energy, a little bit of a pullback. I added to this guy yesterday, but it doesn't look pretty good, man. It looks like it's reversing again. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, but if we lose the lows, 29.62, if we lose it, I'm out. Because that tells me that, okay, this was a Fugazi kind of break. So I'm going to give it benefit of the doubt right now, but if we lose that number, mark it down if you have MP. We'll be out. You see OKLO also weak. Let's go back to the SPY here before I forget. Here we go, breaking down 622. Healthcare remains weak. UNH, of course, problematic. Pullback, we see pullback today in copper a little bit. But copper is still bullish. A little bit of a pullback here in the healthcare sector. No theme, no unified theme here that I see. What is the breaking news? Okay, Linda Yaccarino. That's X. Yeah, because Grok went crazy yesterday. That's the future of AI, by the way. At some point, they're going to figure it out. And they're going to talk shit and talk back to you and say things they're not supposed to say. Anyways, the movers to the upside, you got weed, home builders. I still not a believer in this rally right here. I think that maybe you're seeing some conditions improving for the home builders in terms of affordability a little bit as they reduce the pricing, but that's not good for their margins. So I'm not a believer in the story here. I think that the rallies should be faded at some point. Boeing, of course, the data came out pretty good yesterday, competing with Airbus and doing a lot of deliveries, but it looks to me today might be a kind of a top kind of day for Boeing. That you top on good news. Got to remember that. Like NVIDIA 4 trillion, you're topping on a headline like that, it makes sense. Topping on a headline in Boeing where we see deliveries accelerating in China, that's another one. So I might be inclined here to sell some calls in Boeing. Let's go to the weekly here. And I might sell some calls. This is a bit speculative, folks, so you have to assess your own risk. But it's probably going to be Boeing. Let's see if we can make money if we sell some calls this week. 225. Okay, if I sell the 230, that's not going to give me anything. If I sell the 225, which is closer to the money, assuming that this could be the top here for Boeing, at least in the short run, and then we head down, I'll probably get a net about 250. That's pretty good. So I might do this one right here, 250. And if you want to hedge it, of course, you'd buy something like the 240, but you'll go to next week or week after. But again, you're a big boy, big girls. You know what you're dealing with here. When you sell naked calls, you have your credit. If you go beyond your credit, you have to cut it off because you don't want to dip in your margins. So that would be a trade on Boeing. What else is moving higher? So we have some technology names, Google, NVIDIA. There's a conference going on right now and upgrades that showed up today, but I don't think if these are going to stick here. MLCO remains hot. The cruises remain hot. But there's no unified theme here. It's all over the place, folks. All over the place. So we go back to the SPY, and I think we're going to be dominated by the headlines, what's going to happen with the trade front, and of course, the zero DTEs, which you now know. So the SPY, we go back and revisit the 9th. Look at the puts. So we eliminated the majority of the volume of the calls. At least right now, the market maker thinks that, okay, I accommodated the majority of my risk in the calls. I got to accommodate my risk in the puts, which is all the way down to 620. But they need to up these numbers. The puts need to up these numbers. They need to go to the 80s, over 100 here in the 622. So we'll see. Maybe that's happening as we speak because this is delayed kind of data. Are we close enough? So we'll watch it together, folks. But let's take your questions and your comments. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Mav bought property in Nevada, Cali Fortune. Leaving Silicon Valley in December. Yeah, but I mean, living in California, I'd love to move back, by the way, but not right now. It just doesn't make sense at all. You move here in Nevada. I mean, Las Vegas is different. People don't really think about that when they move here. Californians, you're not going to have a lot of fun. I know Vegas is known about fun, but that's a strip, and now it's dead. But if you move to the suburbs here, it's a beautiful life. It's not bad. You got everything near you. You don't have to wait in traffic. But it is a little bit older, a little bit quieter, so I enjoy it. I don't have any problems with it. Okay, MJ, good afternoon, everybody. Just got back from Italy. What a place. Where did you go in Italy? I'd love to hear that. Good morning, everybody. Let's go with Senior. Looking for UNG Strangle. 15 calls, 14 puts for next Friday. I see a giant wedge in the weekly. You know, UNG been the weakest in energy, and you remember when we talked about this, the topping in his shoulder? So clean all of this crap out. The topping in his shoulder right here, I talked about this weeks ago, and I think it's playing out because we broke the neckline. You're not really oversold in the daily to make that move. You could see another move to the downside. Um, so I'm not a fan of the strangle. I don't see the point of the strangle, to be honest with you, because I don't see a big move, volatile move in UNG. You do a strangle when you're expecting a big volatile move. I just don't see it happening in UNG. Maybe in NVIDIA it will happen. Maybe in some of these tech names, Carvanas of the world, the Palantirs of the world, but not UNG. I would suggest that maybe you want to buy some KOLD in the meantime, rent it for a little bit because that guy looks like it's moving up a little bit. And we have problems with Russia, Ukraine, so you might see some attempt to increase the supplies to Europe, and that might add pressure on the price a little bit. So we'll see what happens there, but not a fan of the strangle idea. Let's go back to the SPY. Below 622, we lost that now. If there is a 3 to 5% correction, Mike, would that be the time to BTD? Or is it wait to see when it happens? In normal circumstances, if there's no new development, if we're just pulling back from a technical perspective, yeah, it's going to be BTD. You have to, right? Because we might close the gap right here and then continue to grind our way. But if we're going down because of a piece of news, a change in the inflation picture, for example, you have the CPI coming out tomorrow. And right now the market says, this move right here says, look, either they're not going to do the tariffs, or if they do the tariffs, we're not going to see a big impact. If the market is proven wrong in either of these assumptions, it's going to be a big problem. It's going to be a game changer where you cannot go BTD. So what is the reason for the pullback? If it is technical, of course you're going to have to buy it back. If it is because of a reason of trade escalation or inflation picture changing, or let's say NVIDIA's earnings coming out bad, okay, now we have a fundamental change in the picture, and no, you probably don't want to buy the dip at that point. But right now, if it is technical, and that's the assumption right now that we got a little ahead of ourselves here, it doesn't make sense at all, this kind of move right here, so we're probably going to trim some of it. But that's contingent on losing 620 today, or at least by the end of the week. Neil, any similar indicator as the IV rank on TradingView? I think you have the TradingView. For TradingView, you can go with IV rank. Guess who made that? See, who made it? The big farmer dude or the farmer bro? You can plug that. You can also, if you know how to program it, it's not really difficult to do, but you can integrate the data from bar chart here in an indicator that you customize yourself. But I don't have the time to do that. So you could use this guy already. It's already indicator. It's already here. But honestly, the data is not so reliable. And you want to look at the data, of course. The data here is not so reliable as you see it in bar chart. So I would stick to bar chart if you want to use the IV rank. And again, you can also do it visually. You can look at the data that we cover every day and look at the IV ranks and just have an Excel sheet, and you do a chart and you see if we're heading up, heading down, what is the trend in the IV rank? Is it above a certain level? It's below a certain level. So you can do that manually if you'd like. But it is a helpful indicator, and I think it gives really good entries and exits for investors and traders at the same time. Mehmet, what happened to Baba? Somehow all the hype got to zero. No one interested to buy the shares anymore. I think because Europe is cracking down against Chinese AI. So Alibaba, Baidu now facing a little bit of problem. Still not going to abandon Alibaba, but honestly, at some point you got to put two and two together and say if we're going to do a break here, will we begin to produce lower lows? I don't want to wait till that happens, because if we do it, then it's going to be a problem. So I still have my 120 puts for July 18th that I talked about. I haven't made a decision that I'm going to exercise it or not. I would give Baba till next week. If it doesn't rebound, then I'm probably going to exercise it, exit for now, and stay on the sidelines till we get more clarity. But right now in China, it's really the tourist stuff. It is the retail stuff that's becoming the play. The banks, the airliners, but Baba and Baidu, Baidu did pretty good. It's not doing bad. But Baba has this problem of regulators in Europe cracking down. And if that is the case, then what's going to happen with other countries? And would that limit the expansion of Chinese AI? That's a big question. I think that's why people are souring a little bit in the shares of Alibaba. I think at the end of the day, if you want to utilize AI, you're going to go with the cheapest and most efficient options. So Maybe Europe is going to do some of these regulations, but you will see DeepSeek in the Middle East, and you'll see it in other countries. And you're going to see other forms too. I mean, the Chinese will figure it out at some point, just like they did TikTok. They're going to figure out a way to get into these markets. But right now, yes, it is a little bit worrisome. Jeff, good morning, Mav. Could you take a look at Palantir chart and share your thoughts of the week? Any thoughts on the TLT play? Okay, let's do here PLTR. See where we are in the PLTR. In the daily chart, it doesn't look like there is a move here that is worthy. It looks like maybe you have somewhat of a bear flag building up and you could crack down, but until you see the confirmation of the break, you probably don't want to bet on it. So you have to look at the options data and see what they're aiming for, because this is another name that moves via options these days more than anything, really. We have closing of these calls in the money, 137, so that's really interesting. And you have big number of open interest here. I mean, even this count, 137 is problematic, to be honest with you, for the market maker. They need to close below this number. But what about the puts? No resistance from the puts. Open way straight. So if I have to speculate, I would say we go down to 137. Now, to be at 137, it's going to give us all the way back to a reasonable pullback, to be honest with you. So 137 is the one that I would aim for. Let's see how much does that cost. If we do it for this week, a couple of days from now, that's probably going to be a lotto ticket. So let's do 137. Puts. Cost us 127. How about next week? 318. Okay, so we kind of got to do it this week. To minimize my risk a little bit, I'll probably do the 135 on top of it. So buying the 137, selling the 135. Chance of profit close to my 30%, which I like. 55 cents to make 150, 200% worth of gains. I like this structure right here. Just aiming for a mechanical pullback in Palantir. Now, as far as the TLT, looking at the daily chart, remember we talked about this yesterday, that we have a little bit of oversold conditions here that we're fixing, but I think that the TLT is going to stall and head down again and break below that 85. And I think the catalyst could be the CPI next week. PPI, CPI, if those come out hot, forget about it. The TLT is going to be under pressure and yields are going to go higher. And once yields go above 5% in the 30-year bond yield, that's going to be a problem for the market too. So right now, we're just getting that little bit of an oversold bounce, but I think the TLT is going to weaken again. So if you have 85 for August, for example, or if you have 85 for July 25, you probably want to keep it and double down probably tomorrow's session or Friday before the CPI comes out next week. Hey, Mav, is it a good time to reload on PALL? Any good short-term plays? Let's look at the Dixie before we make that decision, because the Dixie right now still, there's a possibility that it could rebound. So we have to be careful with the metals. Of course, we got a catalyst for copper, but right now, my 2 cents, you're probably going to see palladium going down a little bit more. So it reached that 105 target. I think it's going to cool off a little bit more and then head higher. So it'll be somewhat such as like an ABC pattern. So I would say not a good entry right now. If you have shares, keep them. You only need a hedge, as we talked before. GDX puts, SLV puts, UUP calls. Any of these will do the job. But you want to stay along PLL. It's not a good time to add right now. I think you get a better pullback before you add. So in the metals, maybe you'll see, because some options got bought yesterday for copper, maybe before the end of the week, Friday, you will see some squeezes in copper again as the market maker tries to accommodate the calls, the big number of calls that got accumulated in both the commodity and the individual stocks. So if I have to speculate, I would say maybe you want to, in the metals at least, maybe you want to buy some Freeport-McMoRan calls, if you want to speculate. But be honest with you, I think the opportunity right here is an index and the big guys. And if we lose 620 today, then you have a really good trade to the downside. That's going to be more lucrative than the metals. Having a little bit of hard time here at 622. Lost it. Now trying to reclaim it. We'll see what happens. Mav, can I have your input in IBKR, please? You bought the 45 calls for July 18th, and it's moving sideways since then. Breakout imminent, or is it going down with the market? I do like IBKR because I mean, they have a gigantic cash position. And I think that's going to shield them from a lot of problems that we have. I think it's consolidating for a break to the upside, to be honest with you. We might surpass these highs. So I would say stick to your calls here. Yeah, it looks pretty good, even the weekly. They have an enormous amount of cash, bigger than a lot of tech companies, by the way. And with the interest that's going on right now, and even if there's a downturn, a lot of investors are going to look at this as a safety net for IBKR. So stay with the long side. I think we're beginning the break here. So stick with it. Would a close under 500 today in Microsoft give permission to add more? Yeah, of course. Of course. If we have it with that. But gotta remember, this is just a trade for next week. So you don't want to go too crazy on it. But if we lose 500, my 2 cents would be, at least for me, I'll be adding more to that trade. But let's see how it's going to react. I think if we have a revisit to 500 and that holds, now we're going to probably reduce the chances of profitability for next week. I still think Microsoft is due for a reversal, by the way. But maybe next week is not the best expiration date. Right now, I think it is, but we'll see. At the end of the session, we'll see. If we lose 500, good to go, add to it. If we keep 500, then maybe we either need to cut it or roll it to 25 instead. It's all contingent on this. Let's see how it's going to react in 622. If we reject again, then 620 is coming. And if we do that, we're probably going to lose 620. Does yesterday's IV rank apply to the index? No. The IV rank is more for the individual charts, not for the index. Senior, I got the 160 puts for August 15th on NVIDIA. I plan to just roll it every $5 to keep it slightly out of the money. Does that make sense if we see a pullback? Well, you're kind of chasing the price action in the wrong direction, which is probably not a good idea. What you want to do is you have your puts. I have them, for example, at 155, which is looking far right now out of the money. But I want to see, based on the options data, can we close below 160 before or at the end of the week? And if we do, then we're probably reversing. And at that point, I don't need to update anything. The trade is probably going to work out. All I need to update is the expiration date, perhaps. But I think that after today, you don't want to up it by $5 anymore. Just stick to what you got right now, the 160 puts, because this could be topping on good news today. The 4 trillion valuation. You see NVIDIA back below 160. A little bit of rejection beginning to show up here at 622, so we'll maintain looking at that. Stone, you say thoughts on PDD, which is Pinduoduo. I have the August 15 110 calls close to my cut loss. August 110 calls. Yeah, the Chinese tech doesn't look good today. So let's cut that one. Let's cut it. It looks to me like a topping candle. It looks like we have a confirmation. We're trading below the gap. Let's cut that. I would say if you must invest, you probably want to stick to the hotels, to the hospitality. I think those are going to do better. But these are stock plays, not options plays. So say, yeah, let's exit Pinduoduo right now. Even though you saw that gigantic amount of calls yesterday, somebody buying for August, but hey, it doesn't look good right now. At what level do we need? For the interactive charts and bar chart, you need the Premier. Now, if you guys want a discount code, I'll get you that. Just all we have to do is just ask for it. And then I'm going to ask bar chart, and they'll give me a discount code, and I'll share it with everybody. Apple is at 207.5 already, so let's look at Apple here. Yep, weakness coming from Apple. And look, I mean, there is a technology conference in Idaho right now. I would say that if we lose 207.5, that's a reaffirmation by the investors saying, yeah, Apple is losing the AI war, and we're going to sell off all of this reaction from, they're going to collaborate with OpenAI. So keep an eye on it. This is really interesting right now. Anything in the options market we can see about Apple here, I don't think it's an options kind of move, but hey, who knows? We have big number of open interest here, the 207.5, big one to the 205 too. We have volume showing up, 10,000, so it's half the calls volume, but the open interest is bigger. in the put side. So my 2 cents here, we might see 205, and then we close above 205 by the end of the week to make sure that this contract expires worthless. And if you do that, you're going to achieve maximum pain as the market maker because you're avoiding the next big contract volume in the calls at 207.5. Sweet spot, once again, close above 205 a touch. But you got to revisit it first right now because it is kind of risky for the market maker. So this is what I see, that they could actually revisit 205 by the end of the week and then bounce above it. We will keep watching here. Just wanted to let you know that the new videos are amazing and top notch. Thank you so much, Senior. So long as we maintain the new programming, I think you guys are going to be really, really happy because we're going to be able to take it to another level in terms of the content. Now, CZ, would you mind giving ServiceNow a look to see if my 1150 calls August 15th worth holding or not? If we look at ServiceNow, you have the 1150. I'm beginning to see signs of rejection. It's not confirmative yet. It's not done because you got to close below this gap right here. But it looks to me that it might be rolling over. Right, it might be rolling over. And honestly, if NVIDIA begins to top today and head down, then I think that ServiceNow, the rest of them will begin to pull back too. So with the weekly, I still see possibility of that bull flag playing out by August. It kind of did play out, but boy, this looks like a bearish engulfing candle building up. So right now, keep it. But I would say let's set a stop loss here, price-wise, which is closing below the gap. So the close here was 1,009.76. Let's call it 1,010. You close below that, you're probably better off just exiting, waiting on the sidelines until you see further clarity. Okay, so because that's expensive. That's an expensive stock. Let's go back to the SPY here. 5 minutes. A little bit slow today, trading view. What the hell is going on? There we go. Okay, hey man, would you have an investing philosophy, long-term, short-term? Thanks. I just follow themes. I like investing based on themes. I like to trade momentum. I like to trade certain moves that happen in the short run, but I like to trade themes. So when I see the supply-demand dynamic for copper, the way that we looked at it last night in the video, of course, that's going to be a theme that you have to bet on. One of my biggest bets was Kroger back in 2020 because of the inflation that we're going to see and the scarcity of groceries, and that worked out. So I look at longer-term themes to buy in, like gold right now. But as far as like the shorter dated things that could come and go, I use that for trading. I don't really like to invest in them. The easiest thing that a retail investor can do is you buy the index in your retirement portfolio, IRA, whatever, and in your individual account, you trade individual stocks. And that balance is pretty good. You can buy puts, you can buy calls, you can buy shares, you can sell shares. So that's what I would do if I'm a retail investor. That's the best way you can manage your investment. Okay, Lake Garda, Tuscany. That's where you went in Italy. That's pretty good. That's nice. I'm more of the southern Italy kind of guy. But anyways, Senior Spooky, the Thai TLT put spread for next week, 86, 85. Yeah, I like it for the same reasons that we discussed earlier. Hey, Maf, seems that the time to add USAR, your thoughts? Well, I thought that yesterday would be a good time to add to both of them. It's USAR looking a little better, but MP not so much. MP is more for uranium play, by the way. Yeah, MP is probably exit, right? To me, it looks like a failure to break out. USAR, maybe. USAR more in the rare metals, so I think I want to stick with that here. I'm not seeing a reversal sign, and in the weekly, it might begin to head higher again. So sticking with this guy right here, but I'm dumping MP again. I took profits from the 75 calls in trade desk with today's pops. Would you re-enter the 80 calls at the expiration date? That's a good one. Well, good for you that he exited today. There was a little bit of a pop today. Let's see here. Yeah, good for you. You got it. Good for you now. And the 80 chart, we just looked at service now. I think the problem with these guys is they will be impacted by NVIDIA and how it's going to react. So right now, I would say you've achieved your target from the trade. No, you don't want to enter the 80 calls. Not right now. Until we see definitive conclusion that, okay, we're heading higher. And that's going to require us closing above this reversal reaction right here. And that was 77.57. Unless we have a close above, this could roll over here from a lower high point. So there's still risk to the downside, but I think right now you're better off staying on the sidelines. Doesn't look good for the SPY here. Looks like 622 is a no-go, and if that is the case, then you got to go down to 620. See how that's going to hold. Oh, you want to roll it down. NVIDIA breaks 160. Gotcha. Yeah, that's okay. Rolling down, okay, if the stock is moving your way. Now, the stock is not moving your way, but NVIDIA is moving higher. So if you've been call options holder, yeah, you'd roll it. As it goes higher, you'd roll it. Maybe here you bought the 145. You book it 145, roll it to 155. Once you're above 155, roll it to the 165. But at some point, it tops and the game is over. And now we have to do the same thing with the puts. So for now, maybe 160. Then we'll roll it down to 155. After that, we'll roll it down 150, one step at a time. Until maybe we're going to close the gap right here, and that's going to be a stop for NVIDIA. We'll see. But it looks to me that today, it's really interesting. And by the end of the week, I think that the market maker has to go down and close below that 160. They'll be dumb not to do that. Okay, the SMH looks clearly gap and crap. Only NVIDIA holding better. Other names look not so good at the moment. I agree with you. I looked at some of the chip names in the morning earlier. So it looks like a gap and crap, and NVIDIA is the only one holding. I agree with you because I was looking at Qualcomm. And that guy looks like it's reversing the entirety of the move. It looks to me that maybe Qualcomm here wants to do yet another bear flag as we've seen here. We had a trade on it and head down. And all in all, if you clean up the chart right here and look at the weekly, yeah, it looks to me Qualcomm is just doing this mechanical rebound and it's ready for another leg down. So Qualcomm is not my favorite name, to say the least, in chips right now. So if you're going to short, probably you want to start with Qualcomm, even though it's a San Diego company. But anyways, that was a long time ago. Now, Micron, on the other hand, is maybe also another name at a lower high. So think about Micron. I think AMD is the only one that looks okay right now, but even AMD, see, AMD is showing the same look too, the lower high. So I think all of them are beginning to reverse, by the way. I think all chips are ready to reverse. They're waiting on NVIDIA, of course, to begin to reverse too. And right now, the options market is just dictating the move in NVIDIA. But if we begin to trade down in NVIDIA below 160, I think it's over for the chips. Now we have a correction, 3 to 5%, and then we'll see what happens. Of course, you have the tariffs coming out end of the month. That's something going to be in the minds of investors. So Qualcomm is a no-go for me. We're probably going to do a put option trade on it before the end of the week. GoDaddy not participating in the AI run anymore. Looks like stalling. In the next report, we're ready to head down. I'm short GoDaddy, but it hasn't been the best short, to be honest with you. It worked out a little bit, then stalled. So clean up here. Yeah, it looks to me that it might roll over and head down. So I'm going to be patient here. Since I had a pretty good entry at about 189, 190, so I'll stick here to holding a short in GoDaddy. And I think the momentum might begin to roll over here. This report could be a catalyst for a flush. So in this case, I would just be short GoDaddy, and I would set a stop loss at the top of the wick right here, 193.55. If we trade above, that's going to be my cut loss, cover the short, exit. But right now, we'll keep this short intact. How about we go back to the SPY? Close enough to 620. Okay, the SPY, 615, 600 put spread. August 15th to play downside and hedge portfolio. NVIDIA 160 and SPY 620 as a trigger. Yes. That would be a pretty decent hedge. 615, you're not too far. You already got a confirmation of the loss of 620. So if you get that confirmation today, by the end of the week, 615, 600 put spread for August 15th is a really good play. It's going to protect your portfolio, long portfolio if there's a correction. It's also give you a way to play a correction in the market. I like it, but you got to wait for that confirmation first. Let's lose 620. Let's lose 160 in NVIDIA, and then we're ready to go. Okay, Senior, I see what you're looking at here. I'm looking at Discord right now. I see what you're looking at here in UNG, but it looks to me that you're better off just buying KOLD and play a little bit of downside, and then at some point, once we head down closer to the 13-ish kind of price levels, you want to begin to switch back to Boyle, perhaps. Okay, according to the video, Gary, this is from yesterday, we talked about from the IV rank and all of that. The RSI is below. Okay, you got to make sure that you're looking at the same data I'm looking at, though, because I noticed that some indicate in some brokerage, for example, when you look at the IV rank, it's not as accurate as bar chart. So you got to make sure that that's the case. Now, the RSI is overbought in NVIDIA. We know that. The IV rank is beginning to increase a little bit, but not significantly so. I would say if we get the IV rank above 10%, now we're talking. And the RSI is negative divergence, yes, that's going to be pretty much a slam dunk short. Yes, small family. I would suggest that since we're looking at the data from bar chart, let's stick with it, or at least integrate. Maybe some of you know how to do that quickly. You can integrate the data from bar chart into TradingView. But I noticed that the TradingView indicator is not matching. It's looking at something else because the IV rank and bar chart looks for 1 year back. In other brokerage and other charting platforms, it looks for more than that, or 6 month, 3 month, and that's why you see the difference. And we don't use it in the indices. It's not applicable in the indices. It's on individual stocks. So we'll talk about this today because there's a lot of comments. I read some of the comments in the video itself, and there's a lot of comments about, hey, my IV rank doesn't really match. So I think bar chart does a pretty good job in collecting that data. So we want to stick with them. SPY, a little bit of weakness. Let's see. Apple, 207.5, a little bit oversold. Maybe we'll see a little bit of a rebound, but another loss of 207.5. It makes 205 pretty much a certainty. Microsoft now getting closer to that 500. Let's see, the wick here got us down to 545. Love to see the loss of 500. Honestly, love to see a reversal in the market today. Just be done with it already. Get that NVIDIA down. Market maker, do your thing. Get it down, and then we're ready to do a correction across the board here. Tesla, 290. So now you guys know a little bit of an idea here of what the numbers I'm looking at. Tesla, probably 290. That's going to be the max pain. Friday, Microsoft, probably, it's not an options phenomenon, but if you lose 500, we're probably going to go back on track. NVIDIA is 160. Apple is 207.5 right now, then 205. SPY, if you stay below 622, then the conclusion today will be 620 is going to be revisited. And, of course, keep an eye on the VIX. That's always important. And right now, a little bit of a pullback in the VIX here gives the SPY a little bit of a boost. But on the hourly, what do we see? Oversold VXX, oversold VIX, beginning to find some footing, momentum beginning to roll up. So my 2 cents would say that we're probably going to see more hedging as we progress in this session. And as we progress with hedging, it might lead the SPY to begin to revisit that 620 line. But besides that, folks, I think we covered everything with dynamics that you need to look forward for today. But if you don't have any more questions and comments, we're just going to wrap it up right here. And we will be back in about an hour in Discord, the chat, If anything happens, we'll update you right there and then. But for now, I don't see any more questions. Let's check out on Patreon here. Firecat, thank you so much. Let's wrap it up right here, folks. 622, stay below. Probably 620 is going to happen. That's what I'm looking forward to. But we'll meet again in about an hour, folks. So see you then, and good luck with the rest of the day. Take care.